Step back in time with me to an age when gods walked among mortals, and empires were forged in the desert sun. This is the story of ancient Egypt, a civilization that shone brighter than any other, a land of gold, glory, and divine rulers. At the heart of this golden age stood a pharaoh whose name would echo through eternity, Ramesses II, Ramesses the Great. His legacy is vast, written in stone across the land of the Nile. But one event, more than any other, defined his reign and immortalized his name, the Battle of Kadesh. This wasn't just another war. This was a colossal clash of titans. On one side, the mighty Egyptian Empire, led by the god King Ramesses himself. On the other, the formidable Hittite Empire, commanded by their powerful king, Muwatalli II. The fate of the known world would be decided on a single battlefield. On the banks of the Orontes River, in the land we now call Syria, imagine the scene: 20,000 Egyptian soldiers, a sea of infantry and chariots, marching north under the relentless desert sun. Ramesses, young and ambitious, was confident of a swift victory. He believed he was on the verge of crushing the Hittites and expanding his empire's reach further than ever before. But pride often precedes a fall. The Hittites were cunning. They had laid a masterful trap, feeding Ramesses false intelligence from the captured nomads, who claimed the Hittite army was miles away, cowering in fear. Believing them, Ramesses pushed his division ahead, separating himself from the main body of his army. It was a fatal mistake. Suddenly, from behind the city of Kadesh, the earth trembled. Nearly 3,000 Hittite chariots thundered across the plain, crashing into the unsuspecting Egyptian flank like a tidal wave. The ambush was perfect. Chaos erupted. The Egyptian raw division was shattered, soldiers scattering in panic, dust screams, and the brutal clang of bronze filled the air. For a moment, it seemed the great Egyptian empire was on the brink of collapse, its pharaoh completely surrounded and facing certain doom. But in this whirlwind of terror and confusion, a single figure stood unyielding. Ramesses the Great, his golden chariot a beacon in the storm, refused to run. He was a pharaoh, a living god, and he would not show fear. He called upon his divine father, the god Amun-Ra, and charged headfirst into the heart of the enemy onslaught, virtually alone. His voice roared above the din of battle, a rallying cry to his terrified men: "Forward! I am with you. What are these weaklings before our might? I am Ramesses, son of Ra. Egypt will never fall while I still breathe." It was a moment that would become legend. Inspired by their king's impossible bravery, the scattered Egyptian soldiers began to rally. A nearby division, hearing the commotion, rushed to the pharaoh's aid. The tide began to turn. The Egyptians, who moments before were fleeing for their lives, now fought with the ferocity of lions protecting their pride. The battle raged for hours, a brutal, bloody stalemate. The Hittites had sprung their trap, but they had underestimated the sheer willpower of one man. By sunset, the battlefield was littered with the wreckage of chariots and the bodies of fallen warriors. Both sides were exhausted, having suffered heavy losses. King Muwatalli had failed to capture the pharaoh, and Ramesses had failed to conquer Kadesh. In the days that followed, both empires would claim victory, each carving their own version of the story onto their monuments. But the true victory was not won on that day. The real triumph of Kadesh came 16 years later. Realizing that endless war would only bleed both empires dry, Ramesses and the new Hittite king, Hattusili III, did something unprecedented. They negotiated. The result was the world's first known international peace treaty, a promise of eternal brotherhood between the two great powers. A copy of this treaty is still displayed at the United Nations headquarters today, a timeless symbol of diplomacy over conflict. So, the legacy of Ramesses and the Battle of Kadesh is a dual one. It is a story of incredible courage in the face of impossible odds. But it is also a story of profound wisdom. It teaches us that true strength isn't just about conquering with the sword, but also about having the wisdom to build a lasting peace. The legend of Ramesses the Great endures not just because he fought like a god, but because he ultimately chose peace, ensuring his empire would endure for eternity. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to ancient Egypt. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more tales from history. We'll see you in the next one.